I was not ready for this episode. Hey everyone, I'm your only mate, and it's time for a new episode of RWBY Volume 9. This time it's episode 6. You know, I might leave this attempt in, just because I think it'll be funny. Confessions within Confessions within cumulonimbus clouds. Nailed it. I mean, as far as I know. Now, you might notice right away that things are different. And I know on the internet a lot of the times different equals bad. But long-time viewers might remember that there was a different room I originally recorded videos in. But then when I had to start my warehouse job early 2021, I had to move into a different room because attached house, neighbors. I had to get to sleep relatively early, and I could hear stuff going on the other side of the wall, which made it hard to sleep sometimes, and I had to wake up about 3 a.m. for that job. So I swapped to a room on the other side of the house. I've been recording in there for, over 2 years now. Long since left that job. Some stuff's been worked on, here. So progress has been slow, but I'm finally, moved back in here. Eventually, I'm gonna have to put up, all my posters. You might notice those are already up. That's something that's, the first step to me decorating. And for those who, aren't aware of as to why those are up there, yeah, that was because the death battle that I'm most well known for, Blake vs. Mikasa, that being my most requested fight. It's the longest reaction I ever did. It's a death battle episode that means so goddamn much to me. It's a time where I actually got emotional on camera. And I think the fact that I'm bringing that up, when I'm about to do this video, is too appropriate, honestly. But before we get into that, I would just like to remind everyone that we are here to watch RWBY Volume 9, not talk about my bedroom. So as for RWBY Volume 9, if you want to watch this along with me, go ahead and, catch up on crunchyroll.com, or if you just want to support RWBY officially, you can watch it on Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth. There's still things on YouTube. I think I remember it being on other streaming services. I don't know if they're still on there, though. You've got comic books, you got mangas, you got video games, there's merchandise, there's DVDs. There's no real reason not to support the show officially. Or any show you like, for that matter. And with that obligatory reminder out of the way, how about we start with this episode? The episode starts, and much like the beginning of the volume, we see from Jean's perspective when he was falling. And I immediately got happy when I saw this because I was hoping Jean flashbacks. I want to see what happened when he fell, and we got that. So yeah, I was happy right away. And while he's falling, he spots Crescent Rose. And much like, everyone else, well, except Neo for some reason, he wakes up on the beach. However, as Jean explores, he comes across this weird tree with a clock on it. I wonder if we could call this tree, McClockany? That's what I'm calling it now. So Jean decides to pick one of the fruits, which looks like a pocket watch. And that turns out to be a big mistake, because as the clock starts turning back, time starts reversing. And we even see, the comets that are Team RWBY landing in the ever after are going back up. So yeah, time is reversing. Jean's going back in time. It's nuts. And Jean is panicking about this. The only rational decision he has to do is to throw the clockonut on the ground and smash it. This gets everything to stop, but now Jean is back in time, and all he can do is just wait. So he does, and that's why he's aged up. So that's how it happened, because I honestly thought it would be for some reason he ended up in a different time period for some reason. But no, it's literally just time got reversed for him. So that's cool to know, but also tragic for Jean. And I do want to shout out Miles Luna for just like voicing in this episode, because we hear young Jean, and when he starts talking as old Jean, it's the same but also a different voice. It's kind of nuts. It's like, that's like the only way I can explain it. So like, mad kudos for sounding like the same character, but completely differently. So yeah, bravo Mouse, bravo. Anyway, Jean reunites with Team RWBY, and Little even hugs Jean's head. Just like, I don't even know who you are, but hugs. You know, with Jean getting here, we know some stuff is gonna come up. I kind of just want Little to just be there like, come on guys, it's me, Little. Everyone's friend. If you know that reference, you know. Also comes from someone who's Little in their series. I am in a weird mood today. Leave in the comments if you prefer these videos with me weird. So with reunions out of the way, Team RWBY do have some questions for Jean. Ruby asks, how did you find us? Blake asks, how are you the Rusted Knight? And Yang asks, when did you get so... But she's cut off by Weiss, who makes that face, which is amazing, by the way, to say, mature. Then immediately cottons onto what she just implied and starts blushing. And just, I love the expressions. It's just so fantastic. Also, because I said I would do it, you might notice that the gong's not behind me anymore. It's because I don't really have a space. So I'm actually going to have to hold it from now on to do this. White Knight Crumbs! That was for you, Kara. Seriously, Kara's been on board with White Knight since the very beginning, so I imagine she was very happy to record that bit. I kind of want to see behind the scenes footage of that now. And another scene which I will get to later. But for now, everyone has some catching up to do, so everyone gets filled in off screen, and RWBY learns that they didn't get the relic out after all, that Salem now has 2 relics. And while they do bring up that because, you know, Cinder is still alive, they have the possibility of getting a 3rd, but Blake reminds everyone that she still doesn't know where the beacon relic is. I have my own theory on that. Personally, I'm thinking it's in the Forest Temple, like where they got the chess pieces in Volume 1. So hey, if that ends up being the last relic they fight over, which I imagine it will be, it'd be kind of a nice, like, you know, final battle takes place where everything began. That's just my theory. And whilst Weiss and Blake do bring up that while they did save people, they sacrificed a kingdom, but saving people is what matters, and RWBY brings up that what good is saving anyone if Salem just ends the world anyway, which Yang points out is how Ironwood fought, and you know how in past episodes I've been consistently worried about RWBY's mental state and well-being? Yeah, this and another scene just... I feel like I know what episode it's gonna be, but, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay, I know what I said, we're not there yet. And speaking of not being there yet, Jean says that they need to get a move on before the weather changes, so they've got to get to his village. Much like a Minecraft player, Jean has apparently just made himself a village. Is it weird that that joke actually works better than I thought it would at first? I never even thought about that. So as they're walking through this meadow, Jean says that, you know, he's surprised the Team RWBY made it through the Crimson Keep by themselves, but Blake says that they did have help. Realizes that the Curious Cat isn't around, and just says, oh, I hope the cat's okay, which Jean is not happy about. As he asks what cat, Little points out that the Curious Cat is back, who is relieved that they found Team RWBY, and notices Jean, and states that it's been a long time since they last saw each other, and asks how he's been. And Jean's ready to do himself a murder. And while Jean says they don't need a guide and they should get going, the Curious Cat says, but they want to go to the tree, which makes Jean even angrier. And when he questions about this, Blake says that's how Alex got out. And Jean's angry because the Curious Cat didn't tell them. To which the cat says, well, I told them so many things and a few some things, Weiss asks for someone to start talking sense. Weiss speaks for us all there, and Jean tells everyone about what the tree does. That it absorbs you, erases your memories, and turns you into something else. And while they call it ascension, it's just death and it erases you. So the Curious Cat was hiding that it's the tree that does that all this time. Man, if I had a nickel for every time a character voiced by Robbie Daymond was lying to the protagonists, in media that I know of, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Do you think if Dave Povemir was given a nickel for every time someone used that reference, he'd be a billionaire by now? Probably. Yang says it's curious that the cat never mentioned that, and holy shit, that's Yang's 3rd pun in this whole series, mark that down. Blake's still winning with 4 though, and just from that one scene, Blake is still the pun queen. And Jean asks what happened to Louis. Yeah, it turns out Alex had a brother, which everyone's confused about because there's no mention of him in the story. And that's all they know. And upon being questioned about this, the Curious Cat says, "Oh, well, you never asked, you silly. It was always Alex this and Alex that." So with everything going on, the Curious Cat says, well, we appear to be at a crossroads. And before anyone can say anything, a white light envelops the group, and we end up at this place. Jean says that this is a punderstorm. So apparently this is a weather phenomenon that traps you in some kind of physical manifestation of a problem you're facing. And the only way to get out is to either resolve the problem or just wait for the storm to pass. Weiss says, "Oh, this place really is the pits." And a hole opens up beneath her, she falls through, and hits the floor. Weiss, just be thankful you're not Loki. He was falling for 30 minutes. And, because of how literal that was, now I'm wondering if they called the Curious Cat a dick. Whilst in here, they would just transform into a knob and bollocks. And just be walking around. Still has the purple and blue checkered out pattern, so they would just like a purple, blue checker pattern dildo. With a face. And with that image in your head, let's just move on to the rest of the episode. Ruby asks where Yang and Blake are, and Jean says they're probably working something else out. That's your first hint from this episode as to where this is going. Okay, the first hint is actually in the episode itself. Yang wakes up in the middle of, a very rickety bridge with no platforms in front of her. Blake is on the other side, and there's a pillar platform between them. Blake calls out that they need to get to the platform, and Yang just asks, how do we take the next step? Hint number 2. But before any of that, we cut back to Ruby, Jean, and Weiss. They walk through one of the many doors, and we get to see these weird, mirror, liquid things. And I won't lie, I missed this on my first watch. There's another summer appearance. That's 3 episodes in a row that she's even been brought up or shown in some manner. And when I missed that in my first watch, I did think I saw something. What was that? So, yeah, that caught me off guard when I found out. Jean sees Penny in another one, and Weiss sees Atlas, and I want to call out the music in the background here is the same music that we hear at the end of Volume 8. So, kudos to RWBY for that little detail. So they ask Jean what exactly happened, and he explains that while he was waiting for Team RWBY to fall, 2 other people did, Alex and Louis. And after a while, he realized he was in the story of the girl who fell through the world. He is the Rusted Knight. But the story didn't exactly go like he remembered, because Alex was not a good person. She was cruel and selfish, while Louis was actually the clever and kind one. And much like Team RWBY, they went to see Herb, and that's when Alex changed. So yeah, I don't know what Alex saw, but she was even worse after that. Whenever Jean tried to get the story back on track, Alex just didn't trust any of them. And while he's contemplating whether or not he changed the story in some way unintentionally, Alex poisons him. Which does sound like she meant to kill him, but Well, not all poisons are fatal. Much like in Pokemon, he just fainted. Where's with me in all the references today? Anyway, Jean figured out the cat's role in the Ever After when they came back for him. And apparently the cat feeds the tree. Whenever someone, isn't doing what they're supposed to do, the cat does something which, we've seen, to convince them to either keep doing their role or ascend and just repeat the cycle. Which, okay, that's got me thinking. So, does anyone else think that the tree is just holding the world together? And ascension is just what happens in order to keep the tree into keeping this world intact? Because that's just what I think, at least after hearing this. John says that, only one of Alex and Lewis made it back. Then we come back to Blake and Yang, and when Yang asks if Blake is okay, she says she'll feel much better when they're together on the platform. And that's your last hint, because after this moment, no. You know where this is going. Upon saying that, another panel appears in front of Blake, which gets Yang to think that, there's gotta be a password to it, and calls out the words together and platform. But it doesn't work, and Yang says she's sure that Blake will figure it out because she's good at that sort of thing. She has a really good brain, which does get more panels to appear in front of her. So Yang realizes, I've just got to say stuff about you. You have cat ears. Smooth, Yang. Smooth. But it does get Blake to smile and give a little giggle. And Yang admits that she always thought that Blake's cat ears were cute, which, they are. And when that gets more panels to appear in front of Yang, Blake realizes... Okay. So, I mentioned in previous videos that when doing these, I still record my reactions to these episodes. If I didn't get my reaction to this scene, I would have been so angry at myself. And I know what I'm about to do is gonna get my video claimed. But honestly, I don't care. I'm not even gonna try and monetize this one. Rooster Teeth, Crunchyroll, whoever. Feel free. I do not care. I just want this out there. So, here's my reaction to the scene.
Maybe it's saying things we never said to each other. I think you're an extraordinary person. You're always the first to lighten a situation. You act bravely when you're afraid. You do what you say. Try to keep up.
Oh my god.
I like that you've never been intimidated by me, even when you didn't like me all that much. I was a little wary of people in general, but you never gave up on them, even when they hurt you. You never give up. You know what matters to you.
Keep going.
Let's make this quicker.
Keep going.
Any big truths we haven't dropped on each other yet?
Say it.
Did you just think of something that didn't say it? That
Say it.
Can't be what this is about.
Say it.
It's like a cliff. And if I do it, I'm just going to fall. I think we're already falling. Just say it, Yang.
Say it.
I think I love you. I love you too.
Do it. Please. Finally! I'm sorry, just one hit of the gong was not enough. I'm gonna go into so much more detail about this scene, like, at the end of the video. And I'm just gonna admit this now, like, at the end of that clip you just saw, like, I was trying so desperately to, like, not full-on sob. And even after the scene had already ended, I just kept thinking, no, hold it together, hold it together, hold it together, because I still had the rest of the episode to watch. And speaking of the rest of the episode, the Curious Cat finds the group. And when Ruby and Weiss tell the Curious Cat that Jean told them everything, about how the cat feeds people to the tree. And the cat doesn't deny it. Like, yeah, it's their role, but also states that the tree won't do that because they're not from the ever after. Which makes me wonder about a few things, but what also gets me wondering is that when asking what happened, the Curious Cat just says that Alex tricked them. She said that they promised to take them through the door to Remnant. That detail is what has me curious. Huh? Also, the idea is just like, the Curious Cat, like, is all about people fulfilling their purpose, right? And their purpose is to get ever after into the tree for ascension and everything. But why would they want to leave? I guess they were just too curious. And well, I have a few ideas about this. And because Alex used the Curious Cat for her own ends, and that's basically what the girls are doing now, yeah, Curious Cat's had enough. And just leaves. And as soon as the Curious Cat does that, everything shatters and they end up back at the meadow. And I gotta give mad kudos to Lindsay Jones, because when Ruby turns around and sees everyone just staring, she has this squeak gasp reaction that is just ungodly adorable. I love that so much. It's just a surprise squeak. It's just like, it's too cute. And as to why everyone is staring, it's because Blake and Yang are still going at it. And everyone's just like watching them make out. Like, Blake even has like her leg popped up and just has like her arms around Yang. Yang has her arms around Blake's waist. Hell, in the animation, there's even just like subtle details like them tilting their heads as they're going. And I love that it takes little gasping for them to realize, oh, everyone's staring at us. When Yang asks, did we miss anything? Jean says, feels like I've been waiting forever for that. Jean speaks for us all there. I'll admit, the only way this scene could have been better is if, after Yang asks, did we miss anything? If they had just cut to Weiss going, did we? Because, like, seriously, the last time they saw these two, it was just, like, there was an argument going on, everything was all tense. The very next time they see him, just, like, hardcore makeout session. So, let's get to the final scene of the episode, which is at Jean's house. Sorry, I'm still giddy about the bees. Like, Weiss makes herself a hot beverage. She just looks over at Blake and Yang. She's just happy. She's happy that her friends are just finally, like, as Nora would say, together. And just, like, in the background, you see Yang just, like, hold Blake's hand as they're next to, like, a furnace together. And it's just, oh, it's so cute. And Jean has something for Ruby, which is Crescent Rose. First of all, called that. And Jean says when he found it, he knew he had caught up to when everyone else would start falling. But as Ruby's staring at Crescent Rose, yeah, her reaction isn't what I'd hoped it would be. And I mean in the sense that just like, look, Crescent Rose is like Ruby's baby, essentially. She even calls it her sweetheart in the first volume. But seeing that as her reaction to it is just like, that's another thing I was not prepared for. Like, with everything that's been going on, she is going to snap. And, I am concerned. But in the meantime, the rest of Team RWBY are happy that Ruby has Crescent Rose back, and I love that Blake even does like a little clap. It's just adorable. Ruby asks John what happened to Lewis, and John says, I think Alex traded him to the tree so she could get out. Which raises a few concerns. And the episode ends with Ruby having that look and closing the box. And that's the end of the episode. Okay, I'm just gonna get my theories, like, out of the way. Because Jean said, I think Alex traded Lewis to the tree. So he doesn't know exactly what happened. And I have an idea, and I know some people have had this idea already, and it's that Lewis, like, traded Alex to the tree, or, like, something happened, and Lewis is the one that made it out. But if that was the case, why would the story be about Alex? Well, at the end of the day, Alex was his sister, and after the herbalist, she wasn't really his sister anymore, so, like, he lost who he thought his sister was. And I imagine, like, if Lewis is the one who actually wrote The Girl Who Fell Through the World, I could see it being like he made Alex the protagonist as a way to, like, sort of like a tribute to the sister that he thought he had, like something like that. Plus, there's a theory that Lewis was a past Ozpin life, and that could tie into why Ozpin let Jean into Beacon, despite knowing that, yeah, Jean cheated his way in, because he recognized him as the Rusted Knight from when he was in the Ever After that one time, which is an interesting theory, and I guess we'll find out if it's true. And speaking of theories, at the end of Volume 8, I had a theory on, like, what the Ever After is. Like, when Team RWBY fell, I had a theory about where they ended up. And while I was thinking that might not be the case now, there's one line in this episode that has me thinking, no, I might have been on the right track all along. And that's that the Ever After is the world inside of the vaults. Now, the reason I had that theory originally is because when they made all those portals, and I said to Ambrosius, one way to get to Vacuo, he took that so literally that they couldn't get back through the portal from Vacuo back into, that pocket dimension. So Ambrosius, much like people in the Ever After, are as literal as they can be. And, like with genies, you have to word everything very specifically. So it's kind of similar in a way, I think. And during that scene, Yang says, a world like these vaults. So, what if that was taken literally too? Now, what in this episode got me thinking about that again? It's the cat. They said the door to Remnant. And, yeah, the portals to and from the Vault World, they are literal doors. Though it would raise, like, a few other questions, because I remember that only the maidens can open the vaults. So, yeah, or maybe it's just on the Remnant side that's the case, and there would have to be something about, like, I don't know, can Afterruns even access the relic, or the portals back to Remnant, like. So yeah, I'm realizing, even as I'm, like, revisiting it, it's not foolproof, but it's still something worth thinking about, I think. And at the end of the day, it's just a theory. They're fun to make. So yeah, those are my theories. And about this episode, I bloody loved it, and that is just an understatement, let's be real. Like, I will admit, I do have one gripe And it's just the title. Because it has confessions in the title, so immediately as you watch it, you kind of get an idea on what's about to happen. That Blake and Yang are going to confess. But you could also attribute it as just like, oh yeah, it's the cat confessing, like, oh yeah, this is the thing. Or it could have been Sean confessing to Ruby that he killed Penny, which could still happen in the next episode, probably, because episode 7 was hyped up, and usually when Ruby hype up something, like, you know, a particular episode, you can get kind of, yeah, like that. Well, they did hype this one up a lot, and yeah, it was because Blake and Yang kissed. So, like, who knows? But that has got to come out at some point. And I'm scared about when it does, because depending on how it's brought up to Ruby, oh boy, because there's also the fact that Weiss has known the whole time and not told her. So, yeah, I get the feeling Ruby's going to turn on the group in some manner. Like, she's not going to outright hate everybody, but she's just going to, like, snap and be really mad. Which, yeah, has kind of been a long time coming. Like, a lot of people have talked about, like, Ruby having some form of a breakdown. And that's got to be coming soon. But I want to end it on a more positive note and just talk about, like, the scene. Because I won't lie, like, this is probably the best scene in the volume. Like, so far at least. Depending on what happens, it could still be the best scene, at least I think. Or, but whatever. But I also think it's just one of the best scenes, like, just in the show. And yeah, I know I've been shipping Bumblebee for a long time and wanting to see it happen. And, oh, it happened, so of course you're going to think it's great. Like, even ignoring that, it's just everything that happens in it. It's just, like, the animation on both characters, just, like, the tiniest detail, like, the freaking poses that they do. Like, when Yang does that little, like, yeah, sort of, like, a pose. Or that way that she beckons, like, after you, to Blake. It's just really cute. And the freaking face that Yang has when Blake asks, oh, did you think something but didn't say it? As she's, like, blushing and just, like, the animation is so goddamn cute. And, like, that's just helped by the fantastic vocal works that Aaron Zek and Barbara Dunkelman did. There's also just, like, the lighting of the scene, like, as the two, like, you know, keep saying stuff and they get closer and closer, you'll notice that the wind, like, calms down and eventually stops, and, like, the clouds turn from grey to, like, a light purple and gold. Like, the sun starts shining through, and, like, the moment they're on the platform, it's just, like, all that grass, the vines, like, the flowers that bloom. Like, just all of that, and the music. Like, Casey, Martin, just, oh my god. Like, the moment that Blake starts saying, maybe it's stuff that we haven't said to each other, and just, like, the music in the background, it sounds like they got a freaking choir for that. And I won't lie, just that alone, even when I just think about that, just that one part, like, I can feel the tears welling up in my eyes all over again. And real quick, talking about the flowers blooming, it's just, like, a detail that's pointed out on Twitter that I absolutely love. And it's just that those are white lilies. And they're used primarily in weddings, and what they symbolize is, like, you know, rebirth, a new chapter, like, purity, stuff like that. But they're also regarded as the sweetest flower, so they attract a lot of bees. Yeah, they absolutely know what they were doing, and I get why they waited until now to do it, because, like, Like, you can tell that they wanted to make this shot as beautiful as they could, and honestly, I think the scene is just perfect. And, like, the Ever After is, like, the only way I think they could have gotten away with that. Because, like, in Remnant, if they had Blake and Yang kiss and then all of a sudden all these flowers start blooming, it'd just be like, okay, like, come on. But no, given how, like, the Ever After works, that just fits. And it just makes the scene as ungodly beautiful as it can possibly be. This moment meant so much to, like, I know, like, members of RWBY, Aaron and Barb, and all the fans, so they wanted to make this as perfect as they could, because it meant a lot to so many people, and I can't think of a way that I would be happier with it. And, like, I've said before in other videos, it's just, like, if a piece of media can make me, like, laugh, cry, feel hyped, that sort of thing, then it's something truly special. The fact that moment, even just, like, thinking about it, and just, like, I'm looking at the screenshot right now as I'm doing this. Just, like, the fact that it still gets me to cry, like, pure, just, like, tears of happiness. It's just, like, this show, like, it makes me feel things, okay? Like, it's also not common for me to get, like, that emotional on camera. Like, the last time I did was that. Funny enough, both moments involved Blake. And yeah, I've been following, like, RWBY and, like, wanting to see this happen for so long. So, like, to finally get it, it was so surreal and neat. I'm recording this, like, a couple days after watching the episode, and it still feels like I can't really explain it. And I can only imagine how hard it's been for, like, Aaron Zek and Barbara Dunkelman, because the two did say on their social medias that they've been keeping quiet about this for 10 years. Something to keep in mind, a few days before this episode, the Black trailer turned 10 years old. And I watched Always Open, had them both on it, and they said they've known since, like, before the first volume started that this would ultimately happen one day. That being said, the two were never subtle about it. And I also want to add, not only was this moment so ungodly beautiful, like, with everything that the animators, Casey and Martin, Aaron and Barb put into it, but even the freaking concept art, like, look! Holy crap, dude. That's concept art! Like, I want to see that as a poster in the store when this volume is over. In fact, you know what? Hang on, where's my wallet? Yeah, put this in the store, RWBY. Just, here, take the money. Just take it. Yeah, if that's in the store, I will 100% buy it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up, and let me know what you thought about this episode. Do you have any theories on, like, what might happen or what actually happened to, like, Alex and Lewis? And, of course, let me know what you thought about, like, that scene. Did you cry like a little bitch like I did? Or were you just like, it was alright? Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And in the meantime, I'm also going to try and put, like, more posters and whatever up, so this room looks a bit more decorated. I mean, yeah, I've got the swords, I've got that Blake scroll, and I've got RWBY OCs. Which is a good plug for my fanfiction Bee Family. Yes, that's where they're from. Yeah, it's a post-series, like them married and with a kill on the way, like the one in the middle if it's not obvious enough. But yeah, for now, what more can I say about this episode? So I'm gonna wrap this video up and just bask in just the joy that scene brought. Thank you for watching all that stuff, and I'm gonna play One and Any Other. Here's the bees.
Thanks for watching Your Only Mate on YouTube. You rock! Thanks for watching.
This is Blake Belladonna with Your Only Mate saying like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.